no be so. Girl, you want capture my soul. I'ma get no be so.
Don't record it. Hi guys, so it was a Saturday and I decided to make akara for the family. So here I was just putting the mix in the oil. Unfortunately the oil was not hot, but it still gave us what we wanted. So this is the akara frying in all its glory, golden brown as you can see, and it was very yummy. Yum 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 in my stomach. So that's the akara frying. And here I was dishing out baby girl's own for her to eat while we continued frying our akara. So I was just on my way to give her her food in the sitting room where she was watching cartoon with her brother. So there is our baby girl, always excited to eat. See how she just landed on the floor. So that's her food there, and she finished it without any remnants. So we were off to the kitchen to continue frying, and that's the akara all done. So it was also a rainy Saturday, and I said let me make coffee for myself to take with my akara. So here I was making my own coffee. Yes, I poured the hot water in the cup, and I was also pouring milk into it for me to take with my akara. So that was what I had that beautiful Saturday, rainy Saturday morning, if I must add. So that's me just adding my milk to the cup of coffee there. So after adding, now we know we have to stir it so that it will combine properly. And once this was done, we had to dispose that. Hi guys, good afternoon, and how are you doing? So I'm in my kitchen today. You may be hearing noise, that's the freezer noise. But today I want to make Edikaikong. Yes, I want to make Edikaikong soup. I saw a recipe on YouTube, so I want to try it. So that's why I want to make this beautiful Saturday afternoon. If you watched the previous clips, you saw that I made akara this beautiful morning for the family. So I want to make Edikaikong soup for us, and I'll be storing that in the freezer. We may actually eat some today, but if not, we may eat it during the week. So let's carry on. It's my first trial on Edikaikong, so I'll carry you through the process. So let's go. Ziploc bag. I have my meat. I have beef here, I have goat meat, and I have shaki. So I just want to put them in the pressure pot, this pot here, to cook. So while I'm on this, I'll season it, put on the fire, and allow it to cook. So once it's cooking, I'll prepare the vegetables, the fish, everything for the soup. So let's go on. So here I was just seasoning my meat. So I cut some onions into the pot. Sorry, my son's hand was shaking. He was the one videoing this part. I added some seasoning cube. After the seasoning cube, I added some salt into it. After the salt, I added black pepper into it. I normally use black pepper for my meat, so I added black pepper into it, and I stirred it very well so that all those ingredients could combine. I added water off camera, I think, and then we closed our pot for it to cook. So here the meat was done already. Just check it out. Check out how soft those beefs are looking. So it was done here, so we had to move on to the next step. Ingredients. So this is ugu. This is water leaf. So this is smoked catfish. This is kpanla. So we have some onions here, we have crayfish, some meat here for the soup. So let's start cooking. So in this pot, I added about 3 spoons of palm oil into it. I let it heat a bit. Then I added the water leaf. That's just me adding the water leaf into the pot for it to fry and release its water. It's water leaf, and it's called water leaf for a reason. It contains a high level of water in it. So that's what we are doing here. We are just stirring it for it to fry a bit. So that's what's going on here. We are just stirring. So here the water leaf had fried a bit. I just removed the cover of the pot. So it had fried. You can see some water in it. So I added the little beef into the pot. When I did that, I think I added a spoon of meat broth into it, at least to give it some flavor. That's what I'm doing there, because the meat broth was flavorful. I didn't want water to be too much in the soup. So as you can see, the juice from the water leaf is already showing. So I added my smoked catfish into it also, so everything can blend well into it. So that's the smoked catfish. After the catfish, I added the panla fish also. The fish is a rich soup, so you have to be generous with everything you can find around you. So I just had to stir it again. After that, what did we add again? No, let's see. Okay, I added more palm oil into it. I think like 2 spoons of palm oil into it. That's what I saw from the video I watched. So if you are not a palm oil lover, you can reduce yours. So here it is. Everything has mixed together and it was already smelling nice. So I was just adding the crayfish that I blended earlier. I didn't blend the crayfish smooth. I blended it roughly. So I just blended the crayfish. I just added the crayfish and I'm mixing it very well into the soup. Yes, we are mixing. We are still mixing. After that, what did we add? Okay, I added pepper, grinded pepper into it. Yes, Yorubas and pepper. I added pepper into it. The video I watched did not add pepper, but I added pepper into my own. So you can also skip that part if you are not a pepper lover. So I added pepper. So this is seasoning powder that I'm adding also into it. At least the soup has to taste well. After the seasoning powder, I also added salt to it. Salt for taste. Salt is very, very important in anything you are doing. Even if you don't add seasoning cube, you don't add pepper, make sure you add salt. So add salt into it and mix thoroughly for it to enter into the vegetable, enter into the soup, enter into the fish, into the meat very well. So you also mix properly and you allow it to simmer a bit before we continue. The last thing we'll be adding will be the ugu leaves. Remember I showed you 2 leaves at the beginning, the water leaf and the ugu, and here is only water leaf that we have added. And you see the water leaf has produced so much juice. So now we'll just add the ugu. So here I was just mixing the ugu with the onions I chopped earlier on, as seen in the video. So don't judge me. That is what I saw in the video that I watched. So I was just mixing the ugu together with the onions here. So I think the reason for this was so that the flavor of the onion soup will enter the ugu, because once you add this ugu into that soup, you cover it and you just allow it to cook in its own heat, not with artificial heat. So once you add the ugu, you put into the pot and you put off the fire and allow the ugu to cook in its own heat, in the heat of the water leaf and all that. So that's what I was just doing here, mixing it with my hand. My hands are clean, by the way, so make sure that your hands are clean, because you don't want people running to the toilet after they eat this sumptuous soup. So I was just adding the ugu there with the mixed onions, and as I said earlier, you just put off the fire from here and allow the soup, the ugu leaves to cook in the heat of that soup. After like 5 minutes, I opened the pot and I just had to mix the ugu leaves with the remaining soup, and the food was ready to eat. The soup was ready to eat and it was very, very yumptious. And that's the final look. Yes. So Edikaikong is done, and we have our taster here who is going to tell us how it tastes. So boy, let's go. Eat now. This is his first time eating it also. I don't think I've made this soup since I gave birth to him. So let's see how he tastes it. Will you eat everything before you tell us your verdict?
It tastes good.
It tastes good, but what?
It's sweet.
Uh-huh.
What?
But what? Okay, so that's just the little portion I gave him to taste. So that's what he's eating, and he cannot stop going. So that is how our Edikaikong soup came out. See you later. So later that night, I made semo to go with the soup, and that's just my own food there. And it was very, very delicious and very, very yumptious. Thanks for watching, and do subscribe.